Hey guys, Jeff Joyner here, and I just wanted to tell you how excited I am and honored that I've been invited to come back and be the keynote speaker at the Launchpreneur Conference in Novi, Michigan this November. If you've been before, you know how awesome this event is. If you've never been, I am challenging you that you need to come. I think there's nothing better you could do with your time, with your money, with no matter what inconvenience you have to be in Novi, Michigan for this event. If you are a business owner, if you are a couple working together to run a business in the green space, man, this is your opportunity to realize that you are in business for yourself, but you are not in business by yourself. There is support available that can help you accomplish extraordinary things the rest of this year and into next year. Hope we get a chance to see you there. I can't wait to share some ideas that I think are going to help you, but it is going to be an awesome event.
You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It is your host, Brian Fullerton here, hanging with you guys this morning. Well, shout out to all of you guys that are listening in on the podcast and you guys are getting your work week started. I hope you guys are out of the gates, off to the races, and you guys are having a great morning. Also, shout out to all of our weekend warrior friends that were cutting grass, Friday evening, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. I hope things went well for you guys. The weather held off. You guys were able to get all your work done, all your lawns done, and you guys are able to, go back to the 9 to 5, rock and roll for a little while here and just kind of recuperate from your weekend expedition. So, today on this podcast episode, guys, I wanted to talk about being intentionally uncomfortable. Okay, it's going to be a fun little topic here. We're going to just hit it short and sweet. The premise or the preface of this, whole thought and conversation was, I'm always thinking about topics that relate to the here and now, things that you can hear today and literally start making more money with tomorrow. Okay, that's how I always want to approach my content. I don't want to give these elusive, esoteric thoughts and ideas, and nothing's concrete, or there's no action steps, if you will, or implementation to your life and to your business. I want to learn stuff today and apply it tomorrow. That's how I always look at things. And when I consume content and who I listen to, I'm like, all right, you can have a bunch of great thoughts, but if you leave me with a cliffhanger and I don't know how to apply it, awesome motivational speech there, Hoss, but how do I actually apply this to my life? Well, one thing that I was listening to many a times on the Kid Contractor podcast with Caleb Allman and Brittany Nicole, as Caleb says, Caleb and Brittany Allman, great friends of ours, is, Caleb listens to a guy named Jordan Peterson, and Jordan Peterson is a great dude. I really am becoming a big fan. I'm sure a lot of you guys are. I've been consuming a lot of his content. Maybe you've seen him pop up a lot more often lately on podcasts, on YouTube interviews, and rightfully so. He's a really intelligent dude. He's an intellectual. He's a thought leader. And the way he breaks things down and makes things very relatable and practical to the current day, it's just he's just really good at it. He's a great conversationalist, and anyway, I really enjoy what he is putting out there. So, if you guys have listened to Caleb Allman with the Kid Contractor podcast, you've heard Caleb say quite a few times lately. One of his go-to lines from Jordan is, Your life or your income or your business are going to blossom based on the uncomfortable conversations that you're willing to have. And I've heard Caleb say that quite a few times. I've heard Jordan say that quite a few times. And it's true. It's 100% true. But I wanted to talk about that, but I wanted to even break that down even further because I don't think it's just the uncomfortable conversations. It's the uncomfortableness that you're willing to have in life that can really spur growth and development. Because, it's not just uncomfortable conversations that I have that allow me or propel me or are the catalyst to helping me grow. There's times when I go to an industry event and I'm completely uncomfortable and it helps make me grow. There's things I think, about that are uncomfortable, but when I break through those thoughts, they help me grow. When I go to meet somebody, it's an uncomfortable interaction or experience. It helps me to grow. So it's not just these conversations I'm willing to have, but places I go, things I do, the way I think, the uncomfortableness to them are what helped me to grow. And so I got some really fun things I wrote down here. Usually when I do these solo episodes, I just kind of rip it because I'm not a big notes kind of guy. But here's what I will say. I wrote down about 10, 12 different things here that I've had some uncomfortableness with, the last 10, 15 years of my life, my business and career. And so here's the thing. I'm thinking to myself, all the times that I was uncomfortable, it really spurred on development, and let's just be honest. Like, I like being comfortable. The irony is that I enjoy being comfortable. I enjoy an air conditioned room compared to a room with no air conditioning, right? Or climate control. I enjoy leather seats in a car with heating and cooling, versus just a regular cloth seat or a vinyl seat, in a WT work truck with a carpet delete. I enjoy, a nice steak. It's very comfortable to eat a nice steak versus the spare tire they found on the side of the road, piece of steak that they have at Outback, right? The little 6-ounce Victoria cut. I'm sure it's very, very tender, juicy filet. I'm just kidding because I don't mind the Victoria filet, once in a while over there at Outback. But you know what? A $60, a filet mignon, or a $80, Wagyu, piece of cut of meat tastes a lot better. It's much more comfortable to eat that than it is the spare tire that they found, at the truck stop, which is where a lot of these places seem to get their steak, right? I mean, let's go through the list. I mean, it's more comfortable wearing nice clothes. It's more comfortable wearing nice shoes. It's more comfortable, having a nicer place to live, having space, having cars that start. It's more comfortable having money in the bank than not having money in the bank. I mean, these are very no-brainer kind of things. But if you think about it, everybody is seeking comfort, like one way or another. You're whether you admit it or not, even you're trying to grow your life. I mean, think about what you're thinking about, right? Like, why do we do what we do? We're pursuing, nicer things, typically choices, options, right? To be able to take care of our family, our wife, our husbands, our kids, our extended family. I mean, that's a huge motivating and driving factor for me about why I do so much of what I do. It's not, so I can have this or I can have that personally. I mean, I'm actually a pretty low maintenance, individual. I just wanted a nicer car, wanted a couple watches, and wanted a couple choices, and maybe have a shop one day because I was tired of working on equipment at 10 o'clock at night in the cold or in the snow or at dark or in the rain. I just wanted to shop. I mean, and after that, I'm like, okay, what's left? A Lambo? I mean, a helicopter? I mean, those are the kind of things that are just, those are wants, not needs, right? And, the difference between needs and wants is a whole nother podcast for a whole nother time. But, it gets me thinking about all the time, like, why do I do what I do? And I'm seeking comfort and I like comfortable things, but here's the reality of it. A lot of what gets us to comfort is uncomfortable things. I mean, it's not to drop a huge truth bomb here, a nugget bomb, but, I have to do uncomfortable things to seek comfort, to get the comfortable things, right? And so that's what I wanted to talk about on this podcast is I wrote down about a dozen different things here that were supremely uncomfortable. And maybe you guys can relate listening to this podcast as we kind of go through this story together is all these different things were so uncomfortable. My God, thank God, A, that I did it. And then number two, look at what they opened up. Look who we became. Look at what my finances did after. Look at what my business did after. Look who I became after. Look at who my wife became after. Look at what our relationship did after, right? Like going to couples counseling, right? That could be extremely uncomfortable. But by doing that, and the outcome of that is hopefully reconciliation. Hopefully it's healing, right? And the comfortableness after that in your relationship is going to be the blessing, the exciting part. It's the comfort that we're seeking, but you have to do the uncomfortable thing first sometimes to get to the comfortable part. So I got about a dozen things here that I want to go through. We're going to keep it short and sweet. I'm really excited about this podcast, this episode. When I come up with these topics or ideas, I really, I pray about it. I think about it. Nothing here is just, hey, we need to get an episode out on Monday. We don't really do that on our show. And I'm not, putting anybody up or down or whatever that does that or anything like that. It's not like, oh, we have a schedule and let's just make sure that we hit the schedule. It's no, what do people need now? What's going on in my life that maybe can relate? What's going on in your guys' life based on feedback I get from Instagram or DMs or coaching calls? And let's take the ship and see what's going on and let's, course correct 1 degree. So today I want to talk about being intentionally uncomfortable. All right, that's the topic of the podcast. Let's do this really quick. Before we do, I want to hear from today's show sponsors, which absolutely make it more comfortable here for us to be able to bring the show to you guys Monday, Wednesday, Friday without fail. I'll tell you what, it is very comfortable sitting in a nice studio with nice microphones, a nice podcast board with a really comfortable, I feel very comfortable having my podcast in the hands of Mr. Producer, which takes a fee or a premium to be able to do that. So I'm very, very thankful for the comfortableness of this show, but I don't also take it for granted. So we do have to pay the bills around here. So let's do this really quick. Let's kick it over to Marty, Mr. Producer. I want to hear a little bit more about what's going on in our world. And by the way, before we do, wanted to say thank you to all of you guys sincerely that are picking up your Launchpreneur Academy live tickets. I know you guys have heard the ads. You guys are out there. You're slaying dragons every day. Do not forget to get your ticket if you're coming to the show, okay? Launchpreneur Academy live, November 13th, Saturday, 8:30 to 5:30, Novi, Michigan. Do not miss it. I'm telling you, do not miss it for you, for your family. It's uncomfortable to get there, but it is going to make your life so much more comfortable after the fact because of what you're going to learn and who you're going to become. Please don't miss it. Launchpreneuracademy.com/store. You can get your ticket there. One ticket for you. We have discounted rates for your spouse. Guys, bring your wife. If your wife or your girlfriend or your fiance is not coming, you need to educate them, encourage them, cajole them a little bit to come with you, or buy them a ticket and tell them, hey, you need to be here with me. This is important to me. It's important to us. I need you to be there. And bring your spouse, bring your wife, because when you guys are on the same team and you guys are equally yoked and you guys are moving together in the same direction, your life is going to get that much better, that much quicker. Okay. So anyway, quick little short plug for Launchpreneur Academy. Tickets are selling really, really well. So thank you guys that have been bold and got your tickets and aren't waiting until the last minute. I'll tell you what. GIE Plus Expo, we were talking about the promotion link, and a lot of you guys registered for GIE Plus Expo. 175 people used our code in the last 48 hours to register for GIE Plus Expo. So thank you to doing that. We really appreciate the partnership and you guys helping us out with, letting the expo know that, we're helping you guys get to the show, right? But it's also kind of alarming. I'm like, you guys have been hearing the ads for 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Well, and I know some people are coming down to the wire, man, I'm not sure if I can make it. I'm not sure if I'm going to go. I'm not sure if I am going to go. But okay, that might have been 5% of the folks. So did the other 95% of the folks already know they were going to get there and they were just waiting to the last minute? Let's not be an organization. Let's not be a team. Let's not be a community that thinks that way. Right? Just because you can wait to the last minute doesn't mean you should. Okay. So with respect or in love and even a plea, let's not get to 200 tickets pre-sold and then get to 450, the 30 days out from the event. And now we're scrambling to double the size of the room, the event, the stage, all that kind of fun stuff. You guys know what I'm saying? So we appreciate the partnership for those of you guys that are getting your ticket now instead of waiting till 3 weeks out. Because you know what? Once the seats are sold too, they're sold. There's no extra seats. Okay. So anyway, just having some fun here, but I figured if that many people were procrastinating on getting their ticket to GIE Plus Expo, I pray that many people don't procrastinate to get their ticket for Launchpreneur Academy Live. All right. We're going to hear from today's show sponsors, show announcements, and then we're going to talk about being intentionally uncomfortable.
Step up your hearing protection game with the earmuffs you've been waiting for. Introducing IsoTunes Link. With up to 28 hours of battery life and a hands-free experience, Link is perfect if you prefer over-the-ear protection on the job. Sweat and water-resistant memory foam cushions deliver the level of comfort you want and the protection you need. Gear up with the next generation of hearing protection. Visit isotunes.com today.
Lawns, lessons, and live. This is the Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast. Now, your host, Brian Fullerton.
All right, guys. Well, let's jump into our topic today, and that is intentionally uncomfortable. Now, when we go back into the whole conversation about where this topic came from, it was based on the premise of the conversation that Jordan Peterson and Caleb were having on, with each other because they're best friends, obviously. And a little joke there for some of you guys that know. And Caleb was talking about the catalyst for your business growth is going to be based on the uncomfortable conversations you're willing to have. No, that's true. That's totally true. But it was so much more than just that. And it's not the plus one or one up Caleb, not in any capacity. You guys know that. I absolutely love and respect Caleb and what they got going on. But that thought really got me thinking, when I hear stuff like that or one-liners or little motivational quips or statements, I'm like, you're on the lawnmower 6-8 hours a day. I don't know if you guys think the same way, but I think about things. It's like some really great, developing thoughts and time to just pray and meditate and think and, let things simmer on the burner, for a little while. And It's my little thought process crock pot, and come back 8 hours later and you got this like beautiful idea or thought, or I'm going to make this change to my business, right? And so I was thinking about this one the last couple of days. I'm like, it's not like the uncomfortable conversations alone or what propelled or what the catalyst of my business growth. It was like going to different events and things and circumstances that happened to me. Well, I wrote down a quick little list here, and there's probably 100, but it's just the ones I go through right here. Starting my business was completely uncomfortable. Right? Like the life I'm living now is much more comfortable, but to get that business started, that wasn't an uncomfortable event, right? Because I was working at True Green, and the true story of that is, because a lot of you guys have heard our story on many different episodes and, other guest interview podcasts telling our story, was I came in for spray training like mid-February. Okay. And so it was just to get the rust out of the system for all the guys. True Green does this. We work on our spray patterns. We make sure your equipment's looking good, kind of get the lay of the land for our trucks and get flags made and, little pesticide flags, the little stakes. And we're just kind of getting things ready for, 3 or 4 weeks out when we're all going to come back. And it's just gangbusters. As soon as the soil temperature hits 50 degrees or whatever it is here in the Midwest, the armada, I use that word intentionally. The armada of fertilizer trucks and companies go out, and it's just spraying prairie territory, for the next couple of weeks. And so I came back, and long story short, they were like, "Hey, we didn't expect that you were coming back. We thought you were doing that lawn care business thing." This is what they said. I remember a thing full time. And I'm like, well, the previous season I had bought a mower. I was mowing some nights and weekends, had like 10, 15 customers. So I was the weekend warrior guy. And I had not really thought about going full time. Like it was like this one day, maybe proposition, but it wasn't anything honestly that I was working towards. I'm like, you know what? I was making extra $1,000, $1,500 a month, whatever it was, cutting grass. I had my, safe, secure, little job. I was very happy with that. I was making 2 G's a month at True Green, and things were like kind of like back to normal because I had like, a couple months where didn't have any income, lost my job at Little Caesars, and it was tumultuous and I was very uncomfortable. So I was seeking comfort, right? Got back to being comfortable. And then all of a sudden True Green was like, "Hey, like we don't have a person for your truck." Now, like we weren't starting the season just yet. It was 3 weeks out, and they're like, "Well, we'll take the next 3 weeks and we'll try to figure out where to put you in the company, like in a different truck, maybe in the sales room on the sales team and burn up the phones." I like talking. I like selling, just like a lot of you guys, but I wasn't going to be burning up the phone. I wasn't going to be dialing for dollars. We're dialing for 50 minutes on, 10-minute breaks, a little sales board, little boiler room stuff. I love that environment. I think it's fun. I think it's cool. Did I want to do it? Absolutely not. I wasn't going to be doing sales all day. Okay. So I had about 3 weeks and I was like, oh crap, I got to figure this out. So what I did is I started passing out tons of flyers, started reaching out to get customers, and basically I had to replace my goal was 20 customers, which was about $100 a month per customer, $2,000 a month. That would replace my True Green income. That was it. It was like not this like really rocket science, equation or anything I had to do. I had a Excel spreadsheet. I remember like it was yesterday. I'm a little netbook. Okay, I had one of those little netbooks. Those were around for about 3 minutes. I had a netbook, and I was like, okay, I got this Excel spreadsheet. I had it color coded with little formulas. I was smart enough to do that. And when I had enough customers with the $100 value, it would take the $2,000 number from red to black. And that means that we were clear. So I just remember passing out flyers in one neighborhood. A couple of days later, I get a couple calls, right? Sign a couple people up. Had no idea what I was doing. Totally uncomfortable situation. And then short story long, I just remember having that break even where we had 20 customers. The number went black on the Excel spreadsheet formula. And I was like, all right, I got 2 G's gross. I'm making 2 G's at True Green. I had about 3 to 4 weeks to do this before we all went back to work. And it was that like, hey, you're not really like fired here. I didn't like really quit. It was just like this, hey, we came to spray training. They didn't expect to see me there. And 3 or 4 weeks later, I was like, okay, I got a month to figure this out. Cause at that point, I honestly didn't want to go back. I was like, that's how you guys value me. That's how you guys think about me. All right, well, screw it. I'm going to figure out a way to not have to go back. So anybody who's like, oh, you can't, start a lawn care business and, knock it out of the park in 30, 60, 90 days. Bet. I mean, we grew $20,000 a year business, which is nothing. Like we brought in $20,000 new worth of business in 3 weeks. I had I couldn't even spell lawnmower. Okay, folks, I didn't know anything. I had no YouTube, no Instagram, no social media, no coaching calls. Okay. And we still figured out how to get 20, 25 clients. I literally had a paper flyer, that $7 template that we have. I cleaned it up. We make it available on launchpreneuracademy.com. It was literally no photos. There was no coupons. There was no photos of me with my truck with a thumbs up. Okay, with the Captain Jack Morgan thing, or whatever, Captain Morgan thing. I think I kind of know what Captain Jack Morgan is, but it was literally a flyer. It said Brian's Lawn Care back in the day. It said who, what, when, where, why, and how. Because I was like, so smart when I came out of high school, barely. That was it. It was who. It was 2 sentences. I'm Brian Fullerton. I'm 18 or 19, 20 years old. I'm from Troop 42, right? When? We cut your lawn weekly or bi-weekly. Why? We're doing this to grow a business, to take care of people in the community. How? We use commercial grade lawn. I mean, it was the worst flyer you'd ever would have imagined, but I took massive action, right? There's your Grant Cardone people, 10X. I took massive action and we were able to pick up customers, right? So long story short, I remember that super uncomfortable event in my life of no longer having a guaranteed paycheck come in from a job, because my last paycheck came in, that first couple of weeks of February or March. I might have had some unemployment, because True Green typically laid us off. I asked the unemployment and I was like, all right, well, we are literally cutting grass. Like every dollar that came into my account from 16 years ago to now was based on us performing. Like, it wasn't like we had this huge surplus either, guys. I had car payments, a lawnmower payment, maybe a truck payment or, a little car payment. But I didn't have any other source of income coming in. I mean, that really, really makes you feel uncomfortable. And it's so crazy to describe, because if you've ever taken the leap to being self-employed, you know that defining moment, right? You know that defining moment, which, by the way, is going to probably be the topic of my talk at Launchpreneur Academy, these defining moments. It was a defining moment for me when I no longer had a guarantee or security, right? I jumped out of the nest and started to learn how to flap my wings on the way down, right? One of those kind of stories. Folks, I'm telling you what, like, it's a lot. It takes a lot of mental energy, a lot of fortitude to cast off the ropes and to put your ship, out, point it to the ocean, okay? To go, go into deep water, as they would say. It took a lot. I remember it was so uncomfortable of an event and an experience. It wasn't a conversation necessarily like Jordan Peterson says, but it was an uncomfortable event. It was an uncomfortable experience. Investing into my first couple pieces of equipment, it was a completely uncomfortable experience. I'm investing into things that literally have no guarantee of reward, no guarantee of return, no guarantee of income. I mean, think about it, guys. Like, you're buying a $500 leaf blower, $600 leaf blower. We get excited about the prospects of the leaf blower, but we buy the leaf blower to make a 10, 20, 50x on that investment of a leaf blower, right? So if I buy a $600 leaf blower, I'm hoping to make $30,000 off of that tool, right? A lot of people are like stocks and investments and Roth IRAs and 401ks and rental properties. Well, your business is a way to take an investment, to grow it, and to have a return. Like, all my money right now still goes into my businesses because I have a better chance of growing my income through my businesses and my companies than I would at a 6, 8, 12% return in the stock market, a cash on cash return, an internal rate of return. Okay, I can put 10 grand into a mower and make, $150,000 in revenue with another crew if I wanted, right? We are still looking to our businesses for a better growth rate and a return rate on our investment. But you got to think about it. I know that like this is so simple stuff because we're all buying equipment. So we're all buying, your weed whip goes down, you just go buy a $350 weed whip, or maybe you're struggling to buy it, and I've been there. Maybe you're buying it, you're like, one of the whips went down, who cares? Go get another one. But the point is, you're buying things hoping for a return. And that was extremely uncomfortable because at 19 years old, I had never bought something and looked at it as a way to generate income, as a way to grow my income, grow my life. It was a completely uncomfortable experience. I literally remember having my car payment. I think I bought a $10,000 car. Well, I know I bought a $10,000 car. I think I owed $5,000 on it. And then I went into something else, my dealer, Weingart's, to go buy a $5,000 Viking walk behind from Exmark. And I'm like, oh my God, I just bought something that costs as much as a car. I mean, for real, guys, like that's insane. And today's mowers are 14, 15 grand. It's getting kind of ridiculous. But what are we doing? We're buying a 50. That is a very uncomfortable experience because especially if you've never ran a business or you're not a business owner, it is different. It is an uncomfortable experience to buy something and hope that it makes you money with literally no guarantee. The only guarantee is that you're willing to work and hopefully hustle to help make that tool make you some money. It was a completely uncomfortable experience, right? Going to, I just wrote some other ones here down. Going to some of my first industry events. It wasn't Launchpreneur Academy Live. It wasn't, Jason Creel's Lawn Care Life Conference or Keith Kalfas Marketing ROI or even the GIE Plus Expo. Okay, like my first industry events was going to an open house at Weingart's when they had a steak fry open house. They would have a dealer day. All the reps in the area would come in. All the different companies would come in. They would have all the lawnmowers out there. I'm a fish out of water. Okay. I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea who's who. I have no idea who's a big fish, who's a little fish. All I know is that I know I'm the little fish and I know everybody else can tell that I'm the little fish, right? I mean, I was wearing like jeans that didn't really look good or fit correctly. Like they were like dress, jeans, like my Friday night jeans, right? But that's the only jeans I had. So I was like, well, I guess I should probably get some work clothes and go get some Dickies. I didn't even know that. I'm wearing like my last pair of tennis shoes that I've, was wearing. And I'm like, well, I guess these tennis shoes are going to transition into my lawn care shoes. I didn't have, Cujo boots or Red Wings shoes. Like it was just completely uncomfortable. Like uncomfortable, exhaustive, tiring, afraid, fearful. Like, man, I have no idea what I'm doing. It was completely uncomfortable experience, an event going through a dealer open house. I was like, man, I don't want to go up there with my truck. I look like the idiot. I look like the loser. I'm pulling up my brother's Dodge Durango. Now, I will say the caveat is I also didn't give a rip. I mean, in all sincerity, I knew I was the new guy. I knew I was a newbie. I knew I was the idiot. I knew that I didn't know what I didn't know. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I just had I mean, I don't want to talk tough here, but I also knew that I was going to be a somebody. Like I knew for a fact, I had to believe that. I was like, you know what? This is my meal ticket. I'm going to figure this out. I know I look like an idiot. I don't care. I know my clothes don't match. I know I have magnets on the side of my car. I don't care. One day I'm going to have the cool truck. One day I'm going to have the cool rig. One day I'm going to have the cool equipment. Right? Like that was my commitment to my future. I was like, you know what? In the meantime, I just knew enough about success because I started reading self-help books at 18 years old. And I was like, you know what? This is the suck phase. Okay. The suck phase is going to suck. I mean, they don't call it the fun phase, right? They call it the suck phase. And Caleb Allman talks about all the time, 3 to 5 years of like that growth, that trial and tribulation stage of like, you just got to get this thing off the ground, get it to altitude. Like the first 3 to 5 years are very important to the success of your company. And by the way, like when I restarted my company back in 2016, 17, when I got on YouTube, like we're in like year 4 and 5 of that. Like we're in year 5 of like this new Brian's Lawn Maintenance 2.0, 3.0, I call it. Right. And like we're doing exactly what other people talk about. I'm like, oh my God, in our 5th year, we're doing a couple $100,000. Like things are getting paid off. We're making money. Like, oh my God, what these people talk about works. What these people talk about works. My first 10 years, I was following my own plan. 5 years later, the second season, the year 11 through 15, I'm like, we're following other people's advice and getting our, freaking life in order. And it's working. It's a miracle. But I know it works. But when I went to the dealer, it was completely uncomfortable walking around talking about, hey, I need this whip or this blower. And the guy goes, no, you don't. You need these instead. That was uncomfortable. I felt stupid. Walking around talking shop at the back where everybody's eating a steak, cutting up, talking shop. Oh, I got this account. I'm making this much. I'm doing this. We bought that. We got this guy. And I'm like, dude, I don't even know what these people are talking about. I am so uncomfortable. Talking about uncomfortable conversations that Jordan Peterson and Caleb talk about, that's a fact. Okay, that's a fact. Keep it going. When I went to one of these industry events, not Expo, not Launchpreneur Academy Live, I go to a Weingart's open house. One day I meet Mike Bedell. And I have had those uncomfortable conversations, those uncomfortable topics. And Bedell has helped me so much. I give credit every time I can when I bring up his name to helping me just understand business, just business in general, not the X's and O's of mowing grass and when to put down seed and how to aerate and how many this and how much is that and when's the whys, the hows, the who's, the whats. Okay. It's the It's the overarching umbrella of thought process about why I'm doing what I'm doing. Why am I out here today? Why am I cutting these lawns? Why am I doing this customer? Why am I still cutting this customer when I should cancel it? Like giving me the gumption to cancel a customer. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. I know it doesn't make sense. I didn't have the boldness or the attitude or the authority or the confidence to make a decision half the time. Why am I doing what I'm doing? But Dale gave me a lot of that thought process. He's like, man, you don't buy things and pay for things. Customers pay for your things. Oh, I've never heard that before. You know, like if I want a $1 million home, I'm not buying the home. I'm going to have things that pay for my home. Come on. I'm going to run businesses and grow assets that pay for stupid liabilities. I've never heard that before. I was 32 years old. Nobody ever taught me that's how life works. I was just talking to Troy Clogg over the weekend. I got to kick it with him for just a few minutes at his shop, his property, Troy Clogg and Associates, the headquarters. And man, just walking with him for 20 minutes, secondhand, like just one-on-one, but just off the cuff ways he talks about business and life and finances and what he was talking about with this and that. And I'm like, Troy, dude, I don't even want to pretend. I have no idea what you're talking about. I one day I want to be on your level. He goes, hey, bud, just keep doing what you're doing. You'll get there. You are so much further ahead of me than I was at your age. And what you're doing, who you're learning from, what you guys got going on, your future's so bright, you don't even know it. Just relax. Everything's going to be all right. He goes, you'll get there. I'll help you along the way. If you need help, call anytime. And I'm like, oh my God. Right. But here's the thing, talking to Troy, talking to Bedell, these uncomfortable, so inadequate type conversations. Maybe you guys are listening in, like, you ever go around like people and you're like, how do you know things? How do you know this stuff? Why? When? Who did you learn it from? What book would you even have gotten that from? Like so many times I'm like, how do you know these things? And then you talk to these people and they go, I don't know. I just kind of know these things. I don't know. Of course they learned it from something or somebody else, but like people ask me all the time on coaching calls, like, how do you know this stuff? I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. I put about 10,000 hours of books, CDs, audio, live events, training things, business conferences. I don't know. Like I've just been a junkie. I don't know. Like I just learn things. I pick up stuff. I don't know. And then I go home and like write it down so I never forget it because I don't want to ever go backwards. You know, those were uncomfortable conversations that I have had with people in the industry. I went to the GIE Techo Block Contractor Showcase about 2019. No, it was 2020. It was 2020 because I heard Caleb talk about it on a podcast. He's like, you got to go to like events that you wouldn't typically go to. And it would be uncomfortable. Right? Like, ironically enough, he's talking about that way back 2 years ago. He's like, you got to go to things that you don't really care about learning about necessarily. Like, you're not going to do these things, but they just help you to expand your horizon, help you expand your orbit of thought process of things going on in the world. Right? And I was like, you know what? He's right. He is right. And I would go to like lawn care things and lawn care little trade shows or lawn care training stuff. But I was like, wow, I love hardscaping. I mean, I literally love hardscaping, pavers, and outdoor living spaces. I really do. I mean, I would love to do a business just on that. If I ever moved or restarted or something like that, it'd probably just be in patios and design and stuff like that. So the funny thing is I go to this Techo Block event. I'm 15 years in business. I know nothing. You know, at least I'd be the one to admit it. I know nothing about pavers or grade or stone or, you know, this or that or angles or, you know, drainage or slopes. I know nothing about any of this stuff. It was so uncomfortable. It's even more uncomfortable when people like notice you at the event, like, that's Brand's on maintenance. That's Brand's on maintenance. You know, it's like this weird, like, one of us, you know, it's like this weird, like, oh my God, dude, I watch your videos on YouTube. I'm like, thanks, bro. And then I go in that environment and I'm a 0. I mean, okay, 1 out of 100, you know, like in terms of my aptitude. But you know what? It wasn't completely uncomfortable. So what? I wanted to learn because one day I wanted to have this outdoor living space. One day I want to have these cool designs. I want to learn pricing. I want to learn what my budget's going to need to be. I want to learn how this goes in. I want to install it with the guys for some YouTube videos. I want to learn. I want to learn how this stuff works. I want to be comfortable later. So I have to be uncomfortable now. But going to Techo Block Contractor Showcase, such a great time. I knew nothing about IQ power saws. Or dustless saws. I knew nothing about, silica. I knew nothing about, paver edge restraint. I knew nothing about perma edge. You know, I knew nothing about all this stuff. Here's the thing. A year and a half now, I can talk the talk. I'm starting to understand some things. right? I'm starting to understand some of the lingo, understand some of the conversation, understand why certain things would work and why certain things wouldn't work, right? Because I want to feel more comfortable in my own skin as a business owner, being intelligent enough to talk about these things as a contractor. But I didn't know what I didn't know, right? Let's keep going. When I talked about hiring one of my first employees, that was a completely uncomfortable experience. It was a completely uncomfortable conversation. Holy cow, you got to hire somebody? Like, how do I hire somebody? What do I say? What's the expectation? What do I do? I don't even have a resume, not a resume, but a employee procurement form. Bedell's got those on debtfreelandscaper.com. I didn't even have a form. Somebody's like, hey man, you guys hiring? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe. What do you got? You know what I'm saying? Like, what can you do? He's like, well, what do you need? Look, bro, I don't know what I need because I don't know what you do. I don't know what I do. I cut grass every day. Can you help me to cut grass more? He's like, well, how many hours a week you working? I don't really know. Well, how, when do you guys start? When we start? When do you guys finish? I don't know. It depends on the day. It was just the most uncomfortable. I wouldn't even say unprofessional. It was just, I was learning. I didn't know exactly what we're looking for. I didn't know who was the right person that we were looking for. I didn't know that this guy, I'm not even going to get into it, but maybe this guy is not the right guy for our company. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys can read into that one later. Maybe this guy who doesn't have a vehicle to even get to work and, looks like he just got out of prison or something like that. And if you just got out of prison, God bless. There's actually guys that I've done coaching calls with, they just got out and they're doing like 60, 80, 100 grand. Okay. So it's not like that, and those guys are just true butt kickers because you want to talk about life transformation. Okay. But maybe there's somebody that you just know, he looks like he's like the bouncer at Stingers. Okay. Like, he's not your guy. Versus like hiring right people. Okay. Those are uncomfortable experiences. But if I go through them and if I do that and if I learn and if I apply and I've hired 5, 10, 20, 100 people in my lifetime, it will be a much more comfortable experience for me. And that comfort that I'm seeking in my life is only going to come from having these uncomfortable experiences, these uncomfortable conversations, hiring people. Okay. I'll just keep going through this list. I'm just getting fired up. This is a lot of fun. Hiring a bookkeeper. Okay, we were supposed to hire a bookkeeper for like 3 years. Before, when I met Bedell, it was like in 2016, 17. I just realized, okay, he was teaching me some things. I'm like, okay, I've been listening to stuff that you're saying. You've done it. I'm learning about it. I need to do it. So I'm going to marry up what I've been learning plus what he's been saying. I'm going to marry it up. I need to make this happen. So I'm like, hey, we need to hire a bookkeeper. So I'm telling my wife, hey, we need to hire a bookkeeper. She's like, we don't need a bookkeeper. I'm like, okay. Well, he says I should have one. And this other guy who's worth like 100 million says I need one. Well, we don't need a bookkeeper. I'm like, yeah, we do. No, we don't. Yeah, we do. Okay, fine. We do. I'll do it. I'm like, well, have you ever done bookkeeping? No, but I can learn. Okay. Well, I don't think that's the guy I was listening to and this other guy I was talking to, they said like your wife or your spouse shouldn't do it because it can create conflict in the marriage. And then they're actually like a secretary and an assistant versus being an owner. And now they're doing like administrative jobs and it can kind of make the business a little bit more tumultuous. So don't hire your wife, your sister, your girlfriend, your mom. Okay. Hire like an outside person who actually has like training, formal education doing this. Okay. Well, we hire a bookkeeper, right? I swear to God, man, I'm telling you what. I would hire this bookkeeper, Skynar, Cheryl Skynar, Tom Skynar over in Livonia, Michigan. You guys can look him up. It's not Gulf Coast bookkeeping. I don't get a plug for them or kickback or anything like that. Not, whatever. They're just our bookkeeper. They're great people. But it was COVID, right? So we're like it was actually like 2-3 years ago. This wasn't last year. It was like 3 years ago now. And, but we did a Zoom thing because, it's the internet, you can do almost anything, right? So we had this like virtual meeting. And I'm not a go in person kind of place anyway. If I can order my food online, not see you, I'm telling you, I'm an introvert. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to see you. I don't want, it's just how I am. I'm just being honest. At least I'm like the only honest introvert. Like, I don't like you. I don't want to talk to you. It's kind of funny. I shout out to Jake Meisner. He's in my mind right now. I'm just thinking like, he's an animated outdoor extrovert kind of a guy. We are the exact opposite. You know what I mean? But I hang around him because he's an extrovert. I'm an introvert. He can do all the talking. And at the gym, he's like Joe Cool. At the gym, I'm like, I feel uncomfortable, So anyway, we hired the bookkeeper and we're doing this whole interview and this whole conversation. And I just remember Liz, like before we started it, she goes, these people are going to see what's in the account. They're going to see, our money. They're going to see what we spend money on. I go, yeah. So that's what a big bookkeeper does. They look at your books I said, they look at every transaction. That's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to help rein this thing in, chart things, graph things, give reports to things. They're supposed to help us get our ducks in a row, know what the heck is going on. It's like hooking up, like the ECG or EKG or whatever it is, monitor to like somebody's arm and getting the vitals. And like, what are we doing here? How's this goose that's laying the golden egg? And she's like, well, I don't want people to know how much money we have. I swear to God, I go, we don't even have any money. What are you afraid of them seeing? Zero? I go, we already know we have zero in there. What's the worst that could happen? They tell us that we're broke losers. I go, we already know we're broke losers. What are you talking about? And she's like, well, I don't feel comfortable about people knowing that. They already know that. Look where we live. Look what kind of car we drive. We don't have any money. It was the most uncomfortable thing Liz has ever done in her life, was hire a bookkeeper. Fast forward 3-4 years, we get the business going well. We start getting our YouTube channel kind of like making a couple bucks. And, now we have a couple bucks, right? Like in a lot less than some of you guys think, but it's just funny because it's like, now we have a couple bucks coming in. And Liz is like, I'm like, hey, you still feel uncomfortable with the bookkeeper knowing what we're making? She goes, hell no. She goes, we're killing it. I go, we are killing it. I go, do you think we would have been killing it if we didn't get uncomfortable first? Taking off the charade, taking off the masquerade, taking off the facade, whatever you want to call it, taking off hey, we actually don't know what we're doing in life a little bit sometimes too. And that's okay to admit. At least I'm like the only one I ever hear about like actually being honest, saying like, look, dude, I don't know either. I mean, we know by saying I don't know, it actually opens up the opportunity for me to learn, right? It's the whole, like, you don't know you have a problem until you admit you have a problem thing. And if you're like, I don't have a problem, my finances are great. Well, if your bank, I've said this on a podcast a year ago, if your bank account's not swelling $10, $20, $50,000, $100,000 a year, you might want to seriously humble the ego, take a coaching call with somebody, or find somebody local to you that's wealthy, that's healthy, that's successful, and learn from them. I mean, dude, like, it's so uncomfortable having conversations like that because the irony is like the other person already kind of knows that where you're at. You're like, dude, I'm doing good. Compared to who? Compared to what? Now, if you come in and say, look, dude, I'm not doing as good as I thought I would. Now you have an opportunity to grow. Now you have an opportunity to learn, right? These are like literal things I would say. These are things I would hear. I would call up people. Hey, I don't know what the heck this means. I suck at this. Can you help me out? And they would say, yeah, dude, like and you talk to somebody else that's in a giving, teachable, fun, upbeat, positive attitude life, position of life. They want to help. Like if I called up Bedell right now, he would be like, what up, dude? I'm like, Bedell, I'm struggling with something. Can you help me out? Yeah. What's up? He would say, hey, call me here, call me then, call me now. Let's talk in an hour, whatever. But then we'd have a powwow or we'd go get dinner. And, by the way, if you guys have these kind of conversations, going in person, there's just something about getting your spirits together in person. I talked about this on a podcast maybe 6 episodes ago, talking about why you go to live events, why you go to these trade show events, because there's just something different. The third, the mastermind, like two people get together and a third thought, a third mind, a different brain comes together. A different spirit is presented there. That's the principle of the mastermind. You know something, I know something, we talk, we have a lot of synergy, and then boom, I don't know where this plus 5, this 3x multiple of thought that neither of us was coming up on our own would have been able to come up on our own until we got together, and boom, this like triple reward, triple return thought comes together. I don't know any other way to articulate it, guys. I'm just saying this happens all the time. That's why I get together. That's why I get in person with Bedell. But I don't call Bedell, hey dude, you got 5 minutes on the phone? No. Hey dude, I need to pick your brain. Let's go get lunch. Let's go get dinner.
Stay protected and connected as you grow your lawn care business. Ditch your uncomfortable earplugs or muffs and step up your game with IsoTunes. Hearing protection you'll want to wear. IsoTunes provides protection you need and freedom you deserve. Merging high-quality audio with unsurpassed durability, IsoTunes delivers OSHA-compliant protection to last you season after season. Gear up with the next generation of hearing protection. Visit isotunes.com today.
Whatever your activity, whatever your passion, whatever you're doing, stay warm doing it with Brian's 10 partner, VoltHeat.com. Save 10% and manage your thermal comfort regardless of the temperature. That's VoltHeat.com. And now back to Brian.
If I didn't have these uncomfortable conversations, we wouldn't have grown. The bookkeeper, having a CPA, talk to a CPA. hey man, talk to one CPA. I think I'm doing good. I'm so comfortable. I'm so comfortable with my previous CPA. We would owe this, we would get back that, whatever. And I'm like, dude, my taxes are done. They're filed correctly. We're doing a good job, right? I'm very, very comfortable. Well, here's what I'd say. If you're comfortable about something, you're probably not growing, right? I mean, hopefully that's not a truth bomb to anybody that's listening into the show for the first time about success in life. If you're comfortable with something, you're probably not growing. You're probably coasting. You guys have all heard, like, there's only one way to coast. That's downhill, right? You're either growing or you're dying. You're learning and you're earning, right? If you're not learning, you're not earning, right? Greg Woodstock said that recently. So here's the deal. My CPA, I was super comfortable with it, man. Like, I paid a couple $100, got my taxes done. And then, I started listening to stuff from like Kiyosaki and Tom Wheelwright, just a couple other people. I'm like, you know what? I just feel like what I'm making and what I'm paying, it's excessive. It's a little more than it needs to be. I didn't know. It's just you get that hum, you get that thought, and you go, you know what? I've been sweeping this under the rug. I haven't really looked at it. I don't really have time to look at it, which makes it even worse because then I know I need to look at it. You know what? I don't think I'm doing what I need to be doing here with my taxes. Like, I feel like I'm paying way too much, like a lot too much. Okay. So and actually, it's kind of funny how sometimes things like work like this. Like, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I was ready to grow. Bedell shows up in my life. I was ready to go, certain other people show up in my life. I was ready to grow financially. My CPA decides to retire and fires me as a client. Did it in the best way. I mean, like, super cool dude. Cancels me, retires. And I'm like, shoot, I didn't get my taxes done. It's like, I don't know, January. I'm like, dude, we got like 90, 120 days to get this stuff figured out, blah, blah, blah. Whole series of events, find another CPA. He's a higher end CPA, right? Just whatever. And definitely above my pay grade. Okay. Like, super uncomfortable conversation. I'm like, man, like, this guy does like millionaires and stuff and wealthy people. He's a millionaire. Like, he's above my pay grade, like 3 or 4x, right? Like in school, it's like the 101 classes and the 404s. Well, we went from like the 101 to like the 404. We didn't do the 202 or the 303, right? And I was like, dude, this is so uncomfortable, but I'm like, I'm going to grow. I got this foundations built. I'm going to grow these businesses. The income's going to come in. This was like in 2018, folks. This isn't like 10 years ago. This is like 3 years ago. This is fresh stuff to me, right? This is what I can talk about like with confidence and like, not authority, but just like, dude, I'm literally living out what I'm telling you guys every day. Like, I'm growing. Like, my income is growing every single month. I'm trying to hustle hard, just like you guys in both businesses, right? And so I have this super uncomfortable conversation with the CPA. I'm like, hey, dude, I don't know what I don't know. I'm so uncomfortable being even on a Zoom meeting with you that I'm literally sweating my armpits out right now. I need to go take a shower and change my clothes by the time we're done with this conversation because I'm just perspirating, sweating, nervous, anxiety. It's just oozing out of me. Inadequacy, inferiority complex, whatever it is, I'm uncomfortable. And I'm like, man, I don't want to be uncomfortable. I like comfort. I like things being status quo. I don't like change. I heard somebody say once that we all want change. We want change to us is what we want it to stay the same, but get better. What? They don't want change, but they want things to stay the same, but to get better. Okay, well, that's called change. And if you're not pursuing and seeking out change, or if you're not intentionally becoming uncomfortable, I challenge whether or not you're growing. So I'm having this conversation with my CPA. Look, long story short, he's like, look, I've already identified 3 or 4 different things going from your previous returns where we can save money, do this, do that, file differently, subchapter S, little this, little that. Just little conversation. I mean, an hour consult, followed by him doing our taxes, which was, by the way, 4, 5, 6x the fees I was paying previously. I'm like, oh my God, this guy wants that much money. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. There's no way. There is no way. I'm sure Bezos is paying these kind of rates, but I'm like little Brian Fullerton, okay? Folks, I'm telling you, I paid 6x what I was paying my previous CPA, and my new CPA instantly saved me $15,000 while just filing 4 different pieces of paper. Saved me 15 G's. He saved me a 10x or an 8x multiplier. I paid 6x for my new CPA. He saved me a 7 or 8x multiplier on my taxes just with simple filing stuff. Okay, and that doesn't even count everything that we've been doing since then, and we're continuing to do and structuring businesses differently. I didn't know what I didn't know. It was so uncomfortable to have this literally like take a hammer to like the piggy bank, shatter this whole thing and have to put it all back together again. I was like, dude, this is so uncomfortable. And then I started realizing some things, some trends. Maybe you guys can relate to this a little bit. I was comfortable. I was seeking pleasure. I was seeking comfort. I was seeking to not rock the boat, but I wasn't growing. I was doing another thing. I was seeking comfort, seeking status quo. I was seeking predictability, right? I was seeking things not changing. I was so attracted to the mundane, so attracted to the monotony, so encapsulated, so just invested in not upsetting the apple cart. Who moved my cheese, right? There's an old book. And I would realize some things. I was like, dude, I'm comfortable with this and it's costing me money, experience, relationships, joy, and happiness. I'm comfortable with this. It's costing me money, joy, comfortability, happiness, all these different things. I'm like, wait a minute, there's a pattern here. There's a trend here. I'm seeking comfort. 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 And guess what? My life is extremely uncomfortable. Let me slow that down. I was seeking comfort, seeking comfort, seeking comfort, seeking comfort, seeking comfort, and my life was extremely uncomfortable. The last 4 or 5 years, I've seeked uncomfortableness, uncomfortability, uncomfortable, 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 uncomfortable. And guess what my life is right now? Comfortable. Right? And it's just, I can't say it any other way that I had to start having these uncomfortable conversations if I wanted to truly have a comfortable life. PPP loans. It was completely uncomfortable. I've never done that before. We didn't know what to do. We didn't know how to navigate that. We figured it out. Guess what? I'm more comfortable borrowing money, learning what the SBA is, does, how it works. PPP loans, what it is, does, how it works. Burn through rates, cash flow in the bank, having retained earnings, all these different conversations. I never had those conversations 18 months ago. Probably neither did you. Buying equipment, buying trucks. I've never bought a $58,000 truck before. I've never bought a $58,000 truck. The stupidest thing I've ever would have imagined ever, trying to spend money on. A $60,000 truck. The house I grew up in, folks, the double wide trailer, was $50,000. I literally was doing my first podcast ever with Paul Jameson, Green History Podcast, probably like first top 20 episodes he's done with his show way back in the day. And I was sitting in the driveway and I was telling my story on his episode. And I'm like, dude, Paul, I'm in a $60,000 truck right now, sitting next to a $50,000 home that I grew up in. This is absurd. This is absurd. Guess what? Our down payment that we put on the Model X was almost, what we would pay for the truck. Okay. Like now our down payments are what we used to buy on vehicles. That's stupid. That's insane. But I wouldn't have had those opportunities if I wasn't uncomfortable along the way to be able to make those comfortable choices later, right? Here's the thing I put down, going to Charlevoix, Michigan for us. Everybody's got their wealthy spot by you. For Paul Jameson, he was working probably in the uncomfortableness every day of his wealthier neighborhoods with the Atlanta Falcons and the coaches and the celebrities and Jermaine Dupri and all these different people, right? Paul's sitting around there. You want to know when Paul's self-image grew when he got into that subdivision? His business self-image didn't grow when he was like pecking with the chickens, doing little, $100,000 homes values, and people want the weedy yards with bi-weekly cuts for $25. Screw that. Paul's self-image grew as a businessman. It was Paul's Lawn Care, and then it became Jameson Management Group after he got into those subdivisions, because Paul had to elevate his self-image to be even able to fake it till you make it to get on par with these people that have these $10 million mansions that are doing $20,000 side jobs, right? Your self-image grew by gaining so uncomfortable. I guarantee you Paul's walking around. He came from a broke background like I did in Ohio. You didn't come from money, right? He goes into these subdivisions. He's completely uncomfortable. And you know what? Because he did that, guess who's more comfortable in life now? Paul, because he made more money. He has a successful business, of course, a successful podcast. But it was the uncomfortableness, right, of going into those environments that gave him the opportunity to grow, to mature, to learn more about business, life, and relational intelligence, as he talks about. He wouldn't have had those opportunities if he was just seeking comfort and saying, you know what, I'm going to stick with the $20 lawns or the whatevers, or to not take that client in that ritzy neighborhood because he didn't have the self-image to feel like he belonged in there. Right? For us, it's going to Charlevoix, Michigan, Bay Harbor. You want to talk about opulent wealth? I mean, the Peninsula, $20 million home. The DeVos, Van Andel, Amway guys, they have a $20 million mansion. These guys have a $20 million house, another $20 million yacht, another $20 million yacht. The Four Winds Boats, family. I saw an interior video of their whole homes. The boat house has room for 20 boats or something like that with lifts and all this mess. There's like 20 boats in the boat house on top of this like home on the hill, on the side of the cliff, little thing there in the harbor that's worth, $7 to $10 million. Just ridiculous. Why do I go up there? It's completely uncomfortable. I hate it. Liz took me up there when I was 30. I was at the lowest point of my life. I had like a little midlife crisis. I go up there. I go, literally, this is a funny story. I said, Liz like finally puts me back together, Humpty Dumpty, and I'm like, I'm a loser, the whole deal. I'm like, I'm supposed to be worth 10 million and have a Lambo. She's like, shut up, whatever. She goes, we're making progress, okay? It's like 2000, whatever, 15, 16, 17, whatever it was, right? And there's this boat, this huge cruise ship, out in the harbor. And I'm like, dude, that's a sweet ass cruise ship. I'm like, I love cruises. Who doesn't like a nice big boat, right? And it was funny because we were at this restaurant. We're on the main street. There's a little diner or restaurant. We're sitting on the patio there, and just eating chicken fingers and French fries because I'm a toddler. And so this boat out there in the harbor is just bopping up and down. I'm like, dude, babe, we should go on the dinner cruise. Like, let's do it on the dinner cruise. Like, that'd be awesome. It's like 5:00. It's got to be setting out any minute now, right? Or maybe we're having lunch, whatever. So I asked the girl, the waitress, she's like some 19-year-old girl. I go, hey, I'm just curious, when does the dinner cruise go out? Like, where do we get tickets? And the lady, bless her heart, she goes, honey, that's somebody's personal boat. She goes, that's not a dinner cruise. That's their yacht. And I went, oh, but of course. But of course. Of course it's the dinner. And so she laughed, I laughed, she walked away, and I cried. Because I was like, I'm a loser. It was so uncomfortable. Somebody's got a, $50 million boat in the harbor, and I had $5,000 in my checking account. I'm like, yeah, one day we'll get there, babe. One day we'll get there. So uncomfortable. You know what? Every year we go back to Charlevoix, I have more money, more income, more cash flow, more choices, less debt, more happiness, more joy. Because I said, you know what? One day I'm going to live up here. One day, listen, I want to retire to Charlevoix, Michigan, Bay Harbor area. We're going to retire up there. I'm going to build, $2 to $3 million home on like Lake Michigan up there. That's my dream. You have your dream. I have my dream. That's my dream. I'm going to retire, get a little formula boat, a little 450 super cruiser, super sport, boat rider, whatever. I'm going to cruise out into the harbor, go up and down that stupid blue bridge that I've been walking over for 5-6 years. And one day my dream is to go underneath it. Okay. Those uncomfortable visits suck. They suck. And I will make sure that I do uncomfortable things and make sure that I can have those dreams, those memories, and those experiences. The more uncomfortable things that I put myself into, here's the final thing I want to say. I want to be intentionally uncomfortable now, right? I was like accidentally uncomfortable talking to my CPA, talking to Bedell, going to events, going to a Launchpreneur Academy. You think I want to be on stage in front of 150 people? It was 8/31 on 2019, November 9th or 7th, whatever it was. There's 150 people in the room. Music stops playing, and my AV guy, Jim, who's actually my life mentor, he comes up to me, gives him the microphone. He goes, go get him, bud. Go get him. And then I said, well, who's going to kick this thing off? And he looks at me. He goes, it's your event. It's your time. Go get him. And I went, oh, no. I got to get up on stage in front of 150 people who are living on a prayer that we're going to deliver something. We told nobody what Launchpreneur Academy is going to be. Okay, those people came on faith. They were absolutely rewarded. Okay, we didn't tell anybody anything other than we're going to talk about lawn care and success. Okay, right? And at 8:31, I'm on stage. What up, though? How we doing? Talking to people, getting out of my comfort zone. Completely uncomfortable. Maybe you guys are the public speaking guy. I would venture to say 98 out of 100 people listening to the show right now would rather not be the main guy that has to deliver the opening this and set the tone and give some speeches. I don't want to do that. Now we get to do it in front of 300-400 people, right? It's completely uncomfortable. Now I'm intentionally pursuing uncomfortable experiences, uncomfortable conversations, uncomfortable decisions. It's uncomfortable for me to sign on a mortgage that's going to cost a lot of money. It's uncomfortable for me to even request a quote for a pole barn that is over 6 figures. I'm like, that is so stupid. What is happening in life? That is insane. That is insane. The trailer I grew up in it's 2.5 times, 4x times the cost of the trailer I grew up in. That's what my pole barn's going to cost. That is so stupid, crazy. You got to be kidding me. That is completely uncomfortable. Good. I went to the architect. We were designing our home. I thought architecture plans would be $1,500-$1,800, folks. I thought it'd be like $2,000. Try 10xing that. I didn't know architecture plans would be that much money. $18,000, if it was. I said, you got to be kidding me. He goes, well, you want to design a nice home. You got to have nice plans. Okay. This is extremely uncomfortable. I've never spent that much money for paper drawings. I could etch a sketch. Are you kidding me? I'll learn how to do CAD for that much money. Just having fun here because I clearly have no idea what I'm talking about. Do you know how uncomfortable it was for us to buy architecture plans last year for our house? And then we're designing the house and it's, quite a few bucks and we're like putting it together and I'm like, oh my God, that's insane. That's ridiculous. Who would ever buy a house like that? I mean, it's not even like, super crazy. You guys know what I'm saying? But it's like, that's uncomfortable. That is so uncomfortable. Like we're like looking at like, maybe like $200,000-$300,000, That's so uncomfortable. And I thought to myself, you know what? Good. Last year, 2 years ago, I started really embracing the uncomfortableness, intentionally uncomfortable. I'm like, good. That's going to make me perform. No big deal. I can do this, and this with my lawn care business. We can grow this much more by doing this much more clients. I can make this many more YouTube videos. I can reach out to these kind of companies and get these kind of sponsored videos. I can start doing real estate investing. I can look at this kind of stuff with crypto. I can do this, and this. And that's going to get me to grow. You want to talk about who's got the fire of battle on them? I can smell it. I can look into your eyes in 10 seconds or less and know whether or not you're growing or you're stagnant or you're going backwards. By what you say, who you talk about, where you're going, just the look in your eyes. I will be able to tell within 5 to 10 grand about what you're making because I am so on it right now about being hungry, about being intentionally uncomfortable because I'm doing the same thing. And I want to talk with other winners. I want to associate with other winners. I want to meet you guys at GIA Plus Expo because you're the ones that are growing. Okay. Those intentionally uncomfortable conversations are what inspire me to grow. It's the catalyst for growth. Some of you want to get your ducks in a row, then make the leap. Other people make the leap and then they grow. I don't care which way you do it, just grow. Get uncomfortable, right? Equipment, going to Charlevoix, conversations with other people, going back every year to Charlevoix. I didn't this is uncomfortable, we're never going back. I was like, you know what, we're going to go back every year. We're going to keep expanding and growing in the hotels that we stay at, the things we rent, the places we go, the people we get to work with. This time we went back, and there was the Bay Harbor Boat Show, which we just lucked out. It's always typically on Father's Day or Father's Day weekend. We go there. There's $2, $4, $5 million yachts, folks. I'm on this thing. I'm like, dude, don't touch anything. Don't touch anything. Don't even sweat. Okay. Don't breathe. Don't sweat. Don't touch. Don't look don't even mess anything up. I don't even want to walk on your carpet and leave a foot imprint. Okay. That's how paranoid I am. Walking. I just appreciate people. I respect things. I'm just like, dude, I don't want to mess this up. And I don't want to be found out that I'm the brokest guy in all of Bay Harbor. So we're on this boat, $3-5 million boat. Insane. $3-5 million boat over here. Insane. This Formula 450s, insane. These Formula 355s or 350s, insane. Absolutely awesome. And then, the crown jewel, right? There's this Airbus. I forget the name, but it's a 332 or 32L or 320L or I don't know. It's the Airbus something. Okay. And it's the mid-tier one. There's a smaller one. There's a bigger one. The baby's 2.5. The one we're looking at is 3.2 and the big boy's 4.3 or 4.5 million. And there's a table and there's a pilot at the table. And then there's also another sales rep talking about the helicopter. This is a $3.5 million helicopter. Absolute luxury, sits 5 to 7 people, full blown leather seats, looks like a Bugatti inside it, state of the art control, state of the art everything, turbojet engine probably on it, whatever, right? The fin for the propeller on the back, it's not an open propeller. It's one that's in the actual neck of it. It's inside the frame, one of those super nice ones. You're dude, that's a bad to the bone corporate helicopter. And so we go up to the table. You know what? 2 years ago, I wouldn't have even went up to the table. So uncomfortable. I was seeking comfort. I wasn't going to grow. I walk up to that table and I go, what's up, bud? How you doing today? Bud, to some 45-year-old guy. He goes, hey, doing great. How are you today, sir? I said, fantastic. I said, doing well. I said, what do we got here? And I wasn't faking it to make it. I wasn't this, I wasn't that. I was just comfortable being confident. I wasn't projecting. I wasn't under projecting. I'm just I'm comfortable in my own skin. I said, what do we got here? He goes, this is a state of the art Airbus 3 whatever. corporate helicopter. This is, da 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 da. I go, that is really, really cool. I go, sir, to be honest with you, I'm a huge helicopter fan. I don't know anything about helicopters, but I love helicopters. Okay. I said, I want to learn how to be a helicopter pilot one day. $60,000 to get my helicopter pilot's license. I said, Ryan Knorr's brother, Reed Knorr, is actually a pilot at Delta. He's going to one day, probably 2 years out from me, 2 years out from now, teach me how to get my pilot's license. I don't want to get my helicopter pilot's license. And he goes, yeah, this thing is $3.2 million. I said, who buys a $3.2 million helicopter? He goes, millionaires and billionaires. I said, well, you're talking to the right guy. Can you tell me a little bit more about this? Like, I was just excited, bro. I was confident. I'm like, my life is gaining momentum. I want to succeed. Tell me how much this thing is, and I'm going to work the math backwards to figure out what I need to do to get a helicopter in my life. And I just can hear it now, like the haters, bro. The people that you think you're going to buy a helicopter? I don't know. I'm going to do it or I'm going to die trying. But either which way, I'm going to find out and I'm going to fly right over your freaking house and I'm going to hover 300 feet above it and just roar the blades. And I'm going to blow apart your little stupid makeshift above ground pool and watch it just blow apart. Watch your golden retriever smack into the fence with the water going all over the place because you were a hater. Okay, and then I'm going to just fly a banner off the back of my airplane, my little, Piper Mirage, as I fly over you, if that's how you're going to have an attitude. I could have landed and picked you up, and we could have went to TPC Sawgrass, but instead you wanted to hate, so instead I'm going to fly over. And you know what? I'm just going to remind you every day that you hated. Here's the deal. I was like, bro, how much is this thing? He goes, $3.2 million. I go, Here's like the total vote of confidence, the total vote of truth. And some of you guys are bold like this. Some of you guys aren't. Maybe you're more like me. And I just said, hey, do you mind if I take a seat in that? Can I get in it? He goes, absolutely. He goes, it'd be my pleasure. He goes, 1 second here. There's another couple in there. Some old, some like 70-year-old old white crispy couple that probably worth $100 million, some automotive family or whatever. And I'm like, hey, I'm like, get out of the helicopter. I said, what are you going to go? Flying that thing to go meet Jesus? Get out of here. I said, you're already close enough to heaven as it is. I'm up. All right, I'm on deck. Let's go. I'm just having some fun. At least I'm real. You know what I'm saying? So I go, all right, let's go. Get out of here. So I get in the helicopter and I'm like, Liz, take a photo of me. She's like, what? She's like, you're embarrassing us. I'm like, so take a photo of me. I said, give me 10 years. I'm going to have a helicopter like this or one very similar, a couple $100,000 helicopter. Okay. I'm going to have a helicopter. So I said, because I hate going through TSA. I hate airports. Listen to other podcasts. Me and them, we do not get along. And then with the mask mandates, and then they're going to try to make unvaxxed not be able to fly. Blah blah blah. Ain't happening. I need to fly. I'm not like pretentious, folks. I'm just telling you, I like choices and options. And if you want to have your kids go through TSA and have them blow a fit, that's up to you. My kid's 7 weeks old, 8 weeks old. By the time she's 5, 7, and 10, we start flying to Disneyland. I would like to be able to charter something so she doesn't have to go through that stupid experience, and myself included, of course. So I can jump into the pilot seat. I'm looking at all the controls. He goes, do whatever you want. He goes, just don't touch this, and this. He goes, but beyond that, he goes, it's dead. Like, you're not going to do anything. So I'm like grabbing the joystick and touching this and touching that. And I'm like, this is insane. This is insane. This is the most uncomfortable thing ever. But you know what? It stretched me. I came home. I got the brochure. I got the booklet. I'm like, Liz goes, dude, that thing's $3.2 million. She goes, what do you need to make or have come in? I go, I don't know, man. I was like, I don't know. And the guy goes, well, he goes, it's okay. He goes, there's quite a few doctors and stuff that have partnerships, with vehicles or, helicopters like this. He goes, it's not uncommon for, 10 different doctors or 10 different businessmen to, get on a deal like this together. They all throw a couple $100,000 at it. Then they also pay about $25,000 a year to hire a pilot. They have an on-call standby 24/7 pilot that gets paid $250,000 a year. 10 different people pay $25,000, into that kitty that pays for their, pilot. And then timeshare, 10 different guys timeshare their helicopter with maintenance and expense and the cost and the pilot. And I said, wait a minute. I said, if I came up with a couple $100,000 and 25,000, I could like buy into a group like that. And it could be like, this guy's a, neuroscience, I don't even know what the word is, a brain surgeon. This guy's a doctor. This guy's a business leader. This guy's an industry titan. And then doopy-doo, what up, no? It's the lawn care YouTube guy, Brian's Lawn Maintenance. You want an aeration? I'll aerate your Charlevoix home. I'll aerate your lawn. I'll give you an overseeding. How are we going to do this, folks? Here, how are we doing this? Let's go. Little doobie-doo, Brian's Lawn Maintenance. Put a little Launchpreneur Academy sticker on the back seat or something like that. You know what, folks? I'm trying to have some fun here, but in all sincerity, like, it's so uncomfortable. I said the last thing this is more of a real win lately was, how uncomfortable it was sitting in a Tesla showroom for years. I mean, literally years. No prospects of buying a car like a Model X. We bought a Model X. So 2021, we bought it December 28th, 2020. Put a gob down. Most money I've like ever like put down on a car ever. I'm like, this is so stupid. I'm like, can we like pull it out of the bank account and like first like just look at it? Like, can we just like start like throwing dollar bills at each other first for a little bit? Like just enjoy it, you know? But man, for months after months, we'd go to Somerset Collection in Troy, Michigan. If you know the area, you know it. And we would sit in those cars back before COVID shut like the world down and you know all this stuff. But for every 2 to 3 months, we'd go to that stupid mall. And if we would walk in the main doors to the right is the boutique, and I'd sit in it. And the guy's like, "Oh, you a Tesla fan? Big Tesla fan." I had the jacket. I'm a poser. You know, I got the jacket. I got the keychain. I got the water bottle. Whatever. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna have one of these one day. And the sales rep's like, cool. I'm like, I'm gonna have one, dude. He's like, all right, dude. Like, I don't, you know, it's like, I'm getting in a fight with him, you know, just having fun. I'm like, I'm gonna have one of these one day. I'll walk out. And every time I left there, it would just, I'm gonna have one. And Liz believed me, but I don't think anybody else did. And on YouTube, I'm like putting my dreams out there. Maybe I shouldn't have, but maybe I, you know, I don't care. I did. And I'm like, I'm gonna have a Tesla one day. You know, you make a Tesla, man, with your YouTube channel. Yeah. Okay. I'm like, no, dude, like I'm gonna work my lawn care business, pay for my life. I'm gonna bank all my YouTube, you know, crap and just put money aside for 5 years. And I think I can get there one day, man. I really do believe it. Like, what? I'm just trying to like hustle. Like, what's the problem with that? I'm just trying to help people. Okay. And I'd go back there, dude, every couple months for years. And I'm like, dude, I'm getting closer. Dude, I'm getting closer. And then life kind of gains some momentum. Life kicks in. You start getting some exponential growth to some things, your lawn care business. You get a good HOA, a couple good accounts, a couple good referrals, right? You pay off some debt, and not only do you have income growth, but you have debt reduction. So really, it's almost like you have a double, triple income growth, right? Your income goes up $1,000 a month, but then your debt went down $600 a month. Well, now like my income's growing $1,600 a month, right? From before, I didn't have that $1,000, and I was paying out $600. So now we have this like momentum going on, right? That debt snowball, whatever you want to call it. And I was like, oh, like, this can actually like get like kind of realistic. Like, dude, I could probably buy a Model 3. I could probably buy a Model Y. Oh my God, we probably could afford that Model X. Holy crap, we can afford the Model X. Dude, we can pay cash for that Model X. Dude, I don't want to pay cash for the Model X because I can get 1.99% and I can go take that other $70,000 or whatever it is outside of the down payment and I go put that towards a pole barn or a house. I think I might do that. Right. And I remember taking delivery of the Tesla. Our Infinity literally died in the parking lot when we dropped it off. We literally signed the papers. The car freaking died. I mean, it like documented story. It died. Tesla comes out. They go, what's up with the car? I go, I don't know. They go, well, your car won't start. I go, correction. Your car won't start. It's not my car. I just imported my Tesla into my app for the Tesla app on my phone. That car over there, that's mine. This car, that is yours. And they said, awesome. And then they proceeded to try to get the license plate off because they couldn't. They had to sawzall the license plate cover because the screws were rusted out. And the car was such a sled. We had it for like 10 years and my little Infiniti G37. It was my Chariot, okay? But we walked over, you know what? It was so cool. It was such a fun experience. You know what? It was the most comfortable. It's the most comfortable car I've ever had. It's the most comfortable thing I've ever got. It's the most fun toy. I mean, I just enjoy opening up the doors and watching a 10-year-old boy walk by and just go, dude, that's a Tesla. Like, dude, jump in, man. Like, sit in it, have fun. Like whatever. Like, we're at a car show or a car meet, or we're at a restaurant, or we're at a Weingarts. I was at Weingarts just like 2 months ago. This other like lawn bro dad, he was probably 40. He was over there, and his daughter was like, I don't know, 7, 10. It's tough for me with kids. I don't know how kids old. They're between 0 and 18. Okay, and the kid was like probably 9, and he goes, dude, that's a sweet car, honey. That's a Tesla. And the girl goes, Dad, that's so cool. And I go, you want to sit in it really quick? Like, check it out. She goes, he goes, no. She goes, absolutely. And she like, the door wasn't all the way open and she like hops in the back seat. I'm like, what are you teaching your kid? I'm just having fun. But the guy's like, dude, thank you for showing me the car. Like, that's really cool. That's the stuff that I live for. But we never would have had these opportunities. Let's button it up. You guys already know the moral of the story. I never would have had these comfortable, fun opportunities, these growing opportunities, these crazy experiences if I didn't get uncomfortable. Stop coasting. If you're doing today what you've always done, you're always going to get what you've always got. You guys have heard these things, right? So what's the kind of stuff that you can like literally immediately take away from today? Look at stuff what are you comfortable at? What are you content with? And then blow it up. You know what I mean? If you got a good business, that's fine, but refine it. You're like, well, that's how we've always done it, is we've always, whatever. Those are like some of the most dangerous sayings and phrases and words in the English language, right? To go full circle to Caleb talking about Jordan Peterson, your life, your income, your growth, or whatever, is going to be predicated on the uncomfortable conversations you're willing to have. Truth. And not the plus one, but to just add to that is experiences, circumstances, decisions, people, events, different things that I not only felt myself uncomfortable in, but then pursued even more uncomfortable conversations with. Right now, personal story behind the scenes, every week I'm having a conversation or an interview with somebody who's a millionaire and above. Something I set a little goal for myself personally. I said, I want to become a millionaire. I need to learn how millionaires think. I listen to a lot of millionaires. I don't like on YouTube and podcasts and all that stuff, right? But I want to talk to people who are millionaires and I want to learn from them. I can't always get with them, but I've been trying to talk to a millionaire every week for the last 30 plus weeks. It's a goal I set out earlier this spring. I said, I want to become a millionaire because of what being a millionaire, blah, 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 will do for my family. It's not like just whatever. But you know how uncomfortable it is having conversations with people who are wealthy? They're so casual. They're so low key. They're not like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Frankly, I'm not even like that. I'm just yelling at, on the podcast. You get with me in person, it's hard to get anything out of me because I'm just like, unless I really know you and I really trust you, because I'm just like an introverted personality. But having these uncomfortable conversations and then pursuing intentionally uncomfortable conversations, right? Like that's where we've really seen the growth in our life. And man, it sucks sometimes. It's uncomfortable. You sweat, you're nervous. You want to take a nap after. You're just like, what the heck? And then other times I'm like, LFG, man, let's go. Let's go, boys. Let's go. Because you get fired up. Okay. So this podcast, other podcasts, maybe it's uncomfortable to listen to. Maybe you hear us say stuff. You're like, I don't agree with that. Okay, that's fine. You don't have to. Nobody's telling you what to do here. We're just presenting ideas. But I would be shocked. It'd be hard pressed to listen to our show, Paul's show, Caleb's show, and not hear something and not say, you know what? Whether I agree with that or disagree with that, there might be a little bit of truth to that. I need to self-examine, self-evaluate. Am I doing these things? Right? It's not always the knowing and the learning and whatnot. It's the doing, it's the executing and the applying. You might know 10 out of 10, but are you doing and applying and executing 10 out of 10? No. I'd rather you know a 5 and do a 10 than to know 10 and do 5. Right? And if you really want to smoke it, do and know 8s and do and apply 8s. That's what I've been learning and applying, learning and applying. And in fact, the sooner you apply what you learn, the sooner you're going to see the catalyst and the growth in your life. You listen to this podcast, you don't change anything. Can't help you. Okay. So we can lead a horse to water, but if it doesn't drink, cheers. You shoot it. Per Caleb Allman. Again, I get a lot of my best wisdom and thought process from Caleb Allman. So that's a joke. Again, if you listen to a Caleb Allman podcast on the Mulch podcast, one of the best podcasts ever. Okay. Only eclipsed by the Gas in the Eye YouTube video, which thank you to over 80 of you that have left comments on that video, agreeing with me that is the best YouTube video ever. So guys, that's what we're going to do right here. We're going to button it up. Super appreciate you guys listening in. Thanks for listening to me talk and rant. I'm like, man, what do these people need? What can I help? What is helping me? And I'm like, dude, every single day we're doing so much. We have so many things coming down the pike is the point. And I'm like, this is so uncomfortable. The house, the barn, new products for Launchpreneur Academy, the live event, different choices, different things we're doing. I'm like, every single day is not the same as it was yesterday. And that drives a personality type like mine crazy. But you know what? Good. Because I seeked comfort for so long and I was uncomfortable. And the longer I seek uncomfortable situations, events, experiences, and people, the more comfortable my life has become. And I want you guys to have a very comfortable life. You guys know what I'm saying? And I want you guys to have the best life ever, the best life right now, okay? That's it, guys. Over and out. I love you. I appreciate you. Hope you guys have a great day. Welcome to Monday. Can't wait to talk to you guys again on Wednesday. And we're going to have a guest takeover with Jeremiah Jennings with Growing Green Landscapes on Friday. So make sure you guys stay tuned to that. Don't forget to check out the Kid Contractor podcast, LCR Media podcast, Green Industry podcast. So many more out there. Guys, feed your brain, feed your mind. Have a great day. We'll catch up with you guys on the next one.
Hey everybody, it is Caleb with Almond Landscape. Brittany and I are going to be speaking at Launchpreneur Live event here in Novi, Michigan on November 13th. Our speakers that are with us, and I humble myself with these kind of speakers, Paver Pete, Brian Fullerton, of course, Jeff Joyner, Greg Whitstock, Corey Ballard, and the one and only Keith Kalfas, of course. Fantastic value for the ticket price, for that kind of knowledge, experience. It's nothing but the epitome of value. Plus, as myself, as a guy that likes to eat, they feed you pretty darn well at this thing too. So we really look forward to seeing you at Entrepreneur Academy live event. It's going to be fantastic. Again, November 13th, Novi, Michigan. We will see you folks there.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.